From LALATE News headquarters in Santa Monica, this is the Midday Report on LALATE.
It's a big day here on Home LALATE. I stand with Ukraine edition with incredible great news about your fourth stimulus check update of 2022. The map is littered with checks as those $80,000 of sports stimulus checks have gone live. Have you gotten the checks? All the latest details in today's recording. The concern about inflation and recession growing by the minute that's setting up the sixth stimulus package. An allegiance between Germany, France, and the United States to get a sixth stimulus package. It will happen at the same time as fourth stimulus. But third stimulus is still paying out. Yes, three stimulus packages happening at the same time. Then we'll be looking at what happened with SS300 in just the last few minutes. Jay Powell with a major pivot potentially in April if the developing details continue to unravel. All the latest of what you need to know. Then we'll be looking back at what's happening overseas with Ukraine and Russia. A potential recession on the horizon of the United States if we don't solve the situation of gasoline domestically. Not only for us, but also our gasoline for our partner allied countries. Breaking news about what OPEC Plus said minutes ago. I have the latest on that. And then what the Energy Secretary said overnight and what she also didn't say as well. We have a lot of money in this big recording and also the latest details on the Build Back Better Act, CR for stimulus, and everything you need to know across the board. Plus, what else bring us into recession because of Vladimir Putin? It's not just oil, and we're going to look at the breaking, developing, unfolding issue about the banking industry's exposure to Russian investments and whether that could be the next casualty of Putin's invasion of Ukraine. All these details and more as a home edition of I Stand Your Ukraine get underway. From the shores of Santa Monica, California to the shores of the Black Sea, everything you need to know that impacts your money domestically, internationally during this act of economic uncertainty. All the details explained very clearly and all the money coming very fast. And money starting as early as today. It's on Home Edition starting right now. And good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're having a beautiful day. You're looking at the current situation of the beautiful fourth stimulus checks going out. And boy, it's all deliciousness. We're going to go over this incredible checks map in just a second. And yes, there's checks in every single state. We'll be looking at the situation unfolding of a potential inflationary situation getting worse and a recession potentially looming. Meantime, energy controls not in place for both the White House and our allied nations. What could they be doing but aren't be doing across the board? We'll be looking back at what's happening with the country of Ukraine, especially Odessa, the Black Sea area, and why the energy crisis is not the money crisis that aren't unique to what's happening with Russia and Ukraine. Also, banking and the commodities, a very fluid situation that can all tailspin world economies, including ours, Germany, and France, into potential recession. Of all the economic data that's breaking just minutes ago, and a preview of tonight's evening's LA 1-hour broadcast. It's America's most watched show in prime time. It's evening's LA tonight at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. But first, let's start with the incredible news about the Build Back Better Act. Fourth stimulus, Build Back Better, 3 clusters of checks and 3 add-ons. They're all going to the finish line. And what's important to know is that there's a lot of checks in there, upwards of 15,000. Cluster number 1 got in there, which includes items like hazard pay and elder care, got it in there. Also, the money for the college student, Pell Grant, the nutrition, the home repairs, and also the electric vehicle. There's 3 clusters of checks and 3 add-ons of checks in the Build Back Better Act. The first add-on of checks comes from the shores here of Southern California, where you're watching, if you're watching live at noontime or you're watching in prime time at 7 o'clock. Maxine Waters got it in there from Southern California. Money for the purchase of your first home. How do you get this money? Where are all these incredible checks Tune in tonight into that special 1 hour broadcast. It's a special report of Evenings LA at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. The first add-on, of course, is those $25,000 of checks for the first-time home purchases in there from Maxine Waters. Now, when we turn it to the second add-on, second cluster of checks, we get even more across the board. In that second add-on of checks, we have in there the home repairs and the paid leave. Incredible. Paid leave if you have to stay home due to sickness or illness. Then we turn to the next, after that, the incredible second add-on of checks from Bob Casey, just a little bit less than $250 billion of free home health care for seniors and people on disabilities. And then that third cluster of checks, seniors checks and free internet, farmers checks, independent contractors, and more. Seniors gain lots of checks in this fourth stimulus recon, Build Back Better Act. The dental, the vision, the hearing, and the Medicaid gap fix, providing insurance in 12 workaround states that never would provide insurance to low-income individuals, and then lowering the eligibility age of Medicare from 65 to 55, which is par for the course when we're talking about adding checks as incredible recon. Among the checks they would add in there are those MSCs, which stands for Monthly IRS Stimulus Check. These are among the checks that will be added to the recon, the fourth stimulus recon, that already has about $15,000 to $60,000 of checks in there. So who would get these? The eligibility would be the same as a third stimulus check, the viewers have been told by the legislators. Single individuals, $75,000 less would get it. Married couple, double it, you get as well. Family of four, quadruple it. And if you're on benefits, SSI, SSDI, Social Security, you get as well. Veterans as well. Adult dependents as well. And the eligibility, same as a third. The payout, $2,000 the first month, $1,000 after for up to 6 months. Again, this is the Build Back Better Act, the fourth stimulus recon. Not law yet, but all those incredible checks would be added in on the Senate side. Now, this is why you tune to this channel, because of this map. This map debuted on this channel 2 nights ago, but the money behind this map debuted on this channel last Friday. Let's go over the details of this incredible $15,000 to $80,000 of fourth stimulus checks that are paying out now. Build Back Better Act, not law, but I'm referring to these checks, the homeowners grants, as the fourth stimulus add-on or ancillary, because at the same time as fourth stimulus. There's no way to particularly number these things easier, so this is the way I'm calling them, fourth stimulus add-on or ancillary. The only difference? They're law. Last Friday, the President of the United States quietly announced this new law, $15,000 to $80,000 of checks, stimulus checks for you. It did not go viral, the story. It was not front page news, and this is why you tuned to this channel, because it was a buried story, and it likely would have remained buried had I not picked it up. As soon as I picked it up, I immediately delivered the details to the members of this channel. It immediately went into the membership newsletter that Friday when it was announced by the White House that Friday. All the details I'm about to go over with you in that membership newsletter, but even more about that in a second. Then I told you it was about to go live this last Monday. It did go live in some states. Then I said with you I was going to stay on top of the story and monitor the situation state by state and tell you what the latest update is. Last night during the March 10th Evenings LA live primetime edition, viewers were looking at the map and they were in the live chat and they heard me say the following comments. Let's look at the map first and let's go over what I had said at the time. Last night I said, it's currently live in the states that are in the color of teal, like California, Texas, and Florida. That caused some viewers to go into the live chat and also send me private messages saying on social media, but I'm in the state pink, so I guess I don't get anything. No, I made it emphatically clear since the very first day that this program was announced on last Friday. It's nationwide. It's everywhere. So what is the significance of the color pink and what do you need to know? Let's go over all this right now. And I'm going to give you a preview more about this covered tonight in Evenings LA. What does this look like? This looks exactly like the very first day of this channel. The very first day of this channel on April 25th, 2020. I pressed record on the beaches of Hermosa Beach. We were all in a lockdown. And I said a program was about to go live in the United States called Pandemic Unemployment Assistance, April 25th. I said today's the 25th. It's not live, but go to your state because some states have the pre-application, the pre-authorization ready. I said California is one of them, for example. Missouri was another one. I think Texas was one of the early ones. Get your application on file because they're accepting them today on the 25th. They're not paying yet on the 25th. They're accepting the applications on the 25th. There's a difference. If you can get the application in, you get it in as soon as you can get it in. What happened? California went live, meaning it started to unveil the program on the 28th. Guess what happened? They paid people who applied on the 25th pre-authorization on the 28th. People who waited to the 28th, thinking I'll just wait till it goes actually completely live, they didn't get paid for several weeks. This is why you pounce right away. So let's go back to the map because it's the same situation. In the case of a teal state, it means they are live and they're paying already. In the case of a pink state, it means give us your application and when we go live, we're going to give you the checks. So if you're in a pink state, you don't wait for the program to start paying out. You start getting an application on file. Let me go over an example. California teal. So that means you go to California, you put your application in, they will receive your application, and they can pay you as early as today. Ohio. In the case of Ohio, pink. So Ohio, if you go to Ohio, for example, you go there and you get the application on file now. And when they go live completely, then they pay you out. Why is there a different rollout time? Because states have different computer systems. California has modern computer systems. Other states have older computer systems. So it takes them a little bit of time to roll out a program. Now repeat, every state has this money. Number one. Number two, every state will pay the money. Number three, some states will go live with the money before another state, just a few days. But don't worry because every state has the money. So what is this incredible money? This is the fourth stimulus add-on, $15,000 to $80,000 of stimulus checks. Incredible. And we call it the homeowners grant on this channel. And what do you do to get this money? Eligibility is the same as a third stimulus check. All you have to be is a homeowner. If you rent, stay with me because I'm going to show you how to get money for rent the same way. So what is the money? $15,000 to $80,000, number one. Number two, eligibility is just like a third stimulus check. Single individual, $75,000 less, it would get it. Married couple, $150,000 less would get it. If you're on benefits, you get it so long as you're within that income zone, 75 or 150. SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, veterans benefits. If you own a home and it's 75 less or 75,000 less individual income, married couple 150 or less, you get it. Go get it. Don't wait around. This is just so exciting. This is the homeowners grant, and this is available to provide assistance for things from anything from home repairs to mortgage to property insurance and more. And how do you get this money? You become a member. In the membership newsletter starting last Friday, I featured all the details. And this is why you want to pounce as a Purple Hawk. The membership newsletter rolled it out within minutes after the president announced it last Friday. The membership newsletter is sent to members Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, via the YouTube alert system. Becoming a member, the link is under the video or below the video, and that membership newsletter comes to you Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. At the very beginning of the membership newsletter is this homeowners grant program. It features the link to apply, the eligibility, the amounts, the numbers you need to know, and more. The membership newsletter also features the third stimulus. Now, this is what you want you to know. We just went over the homeowners grant, which is like a fourth stimulus add-on. Third stimulus is happening at the same time as fourth stimulus. Third stimulus is money for renters and homeowners. Can you get two items at the same time? You can. So if you're a homeowner, you can get third stimulus and you can also get the homeowners grant. I've had a lot of people who are homeowners contact me in the last few days saying, I heard about that homeowners grant. I want to get those home repairs money. And I think to myself, good. But I also think to myself, wait a second. I've been featuring homeowners repairs from the nonprofit on the third stimulus since January of 2021. So remember, I got a lot of money vehicles for you to get these monies. Don't just hear one time and think it's only one place. Remember, you can get more than one location. All right, let's turn to the other monies you need to know. Build Back Better Act going to the finish line? Yes, Joe Biden says it. CR for stimulus, what happened on that overnight? CR for stimulus did not get a stimulus check in there. The CR did get passed by the House and Senate, does not have a stimulus check in there, but in a strange twist and turn of events, it will have county stimulus. County stimulus, question mark? Yes. This sounds like the legislators were watching this channel. In 2020, I came up with the idea of putting stimulus for citizens in the continuing resolution. I was panned at the time, saying it doesn't belong in there. You don't put money for citizens in a continuing resolution. Well, we did it, and we got a $600 stimulus check in the December 2020 CR. So what did Congress do overnight? They got stimulus in there for citizens, but at a county level. Very bizarre. County legislators who represent counties out of House districts, got county stimulus into the continuing resolution overnight. In the case of Georgia, you can open up your local Georgia news, and it's talking about all these programs one at a time. The last time anything was seen like this, where you have county stimulus in a continuing resolution, was 10 years ago. You think they were watching this channel, these legislators? I think they were. And this is what was passed overnight. Will there be another one? There will be. Now, this is where it gets very bizarre. Joe Biden had asked for that money for COVID. Nancy Pelosi did not put it in there. And so what did he say in his team today? He says, I'm coming back and asking for another bill in the next, 7 days or less. So there will be another CR-ish type of bill that Joe Biden is going to have the Democrats introduce House and Senate in the next 24 hours to 7 days, his press secretary, Jen Psaki, says. So that could potentially get a check in there. Very fluid situation across the board. When we turn to Jay Powell and your SS300 on Evenings LA tonight, I'll go over what happened with him. Very, very fascinating change of events as the 10-year Treasury note is surging out of control right today. This is because many analysts believe that inflation is actually higher. If inflation is higher, it's good for your SS300. Remember, Joe, make the call. Joe Biden needs to make the call to the Social Security Administrator head, swap out COLA for inflation now, before inflation goes down. But the new report you're going to see tonight on Evenings LA is not just that the CPI on Thursday morning came in at 8% inflation for January 2022, but that analysts now are trading up the bond market, the 10-year Treasury note, because they think that inflation is actually the same or higher now going into April. Wow, this is huge. And it's tonight on that Evenings LA broadcast. Meantime, 6 stimulus. Yes, there will be a 6 stimulus package. Now remember, 3rd stimulus and 4th stimulus are happening at the same time. They're paying out the viewership of the channel at the same time. 6 stimulus will also heat up at the same time. What is it? For very basic terms, first stimulus was for COVID, or as a result of COVID. 6 stimulus is as a result of Vladimir Putin. It is an economic piece of legislation that is debuted on this channel on March 8th as a result of Germany, France, and the United States saying it will do this. And as soon as I debuted it in that Evenings LA primetime show on March 8th, that night, United States governors, Republicans and Democrats all said they're doing their version of this locally as well. So you're going to see a big magnitude of this. What is it? It's coming up in the second half of this video. In the second half of this video, we turn back to the situation in Ukraine, and it's very, very complicated today. We'll be looking at the situation impacting you domestically with new insight and a new twist when we look at the issue of gasoline, the issue of wheat and grains, the issue of the banking industry, and the issue of your stimulus going forward in view of the pivot off of a dependency of Russian imports. It's a big second half, and you're never seeing some of these elements today until today. It's a lot of major developing details. Plus, we'll be looking more at those $80,000 of checks. Boy, we're just getting started as Home Edition continues live and direct from Santa Monica, California. See you back in 60 seconds. But first, here's a little bit about the community page. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues right now in the big second half of Home LALATE. I Stand With Ukraine edition. Recessionary concerns growing across the board as a new slate of $80,000 of forced stimulus checks going live. It's incredible great news, but the inflationary worries and the recessionary worries are right behind it. That is why a sixth stimulus package is in the works. What is the sixth stimulus package and why does it overlap with third and fourth at the same time? Well, the latest details on that and how it's all caused because of Vladimir Putin. We'll be looking at what Putin's doing right now around the Black Sea and what could happen by the weekend. It's a very fluid situation as Russia advances on the capital of Ukraine at the time of this broadcast you're watching on a Friday at 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, March 11th, 2022. Let me tell you the details starting right now when we go into this big situation of sixth stimulus. Sixth stimulus was basically Putin-caused stimulus. The countries of Germany and France and the United States, which are all currently led by leaders who are aligned with progressive values like Joe Biden, understand that their economies need to get off of any dependency, whether it's one penny, on Russian imports. So to do that, they need to pivot economically. And to pivot economically, they're going to raise debt and increase spending on its citizens, social spending. When you saw first stimulus, it was money because of COVID, because of lockdown. This sixth stimulus is money because of Putin. Why? It started over a week ago when your Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, was overseas, said to those partner countries, get off of Russian dependency, stop buying Russian anything, especially oil. And they initially said, no, we can't because we don't have a backdrop to it. We don't have anything to fill up the void. They pivoted because they understand it was a moral issue as much as an economic issue. So to deal with the moral issue, to get off of it, then how economically would they deal with it? Raise debt, spend debt, increase debt domestically, and spend money on citizens. Here's the part of the equation. Let me go over broadly what it is before we go into the specifics. If a citizen in the United States cannot afford $4 a gallon, what do? You give them money so that they can afford $4 a gallon, because that's a better situation than having gasoline cheaper and buying Russian oil, which is morally not appropriate. So that is the pivot, and it's a major pivot happening right now. It was not the initial pivot. Germany initially said, no, we're not pivoting off of Russian oil. Then it said, morally, we need to pivot, so we will do this debt. So what is the key date of this equation? The key date is early April. Why early April? Not because of something in the United States, but because of something in France. That is when one of the three leaders will be up for re-election, and we'll learn whether he's re-elected. Which leader? Macron, head of France. We'll learn in early April if he's re-elected. If that's the case, then you have Macron, Biden, and the German leader, all progressive in ideology, and all to do this sixth stimulus package. Now, let's go over again. First, one of the things you need to know. When I use numbering system on this channel, I'm just using it to differentiate. It does not mean one goes before another. So someone may say, why would there be sixth if we haven't gotten fifth? Why would there be third if we haven't? No, that's not how it works. I just have to give it a different name. I can call it the orange package and the green package. I'm just giving it a numbering system. So it doesn't mean one goes in a domino effect before another. That's the first thing. Number two, these are very different. You know, when we were looking at first and second, we were looking at COVID as the reason for it. Now we're looking at a major problem, and the problem is more than oil. And I'm going to go over all the analysis with you right now. It's going to be both fact and commentary, and that's why you watch this show, because this show brings you a little bit more into the analysis, the economic analysis, than the other shows on this channel. Stay tuned to that evening's LA broadcast at 5 o'clock tonight, where I go over more about the factual events changing your economics at home. The situation first is that sixth stimulus is driven by the oil situation. Where is the oil situation right at the time of this recording today, March 11th? It is really unchanged since day one of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Now, this is what's deeply troubling. Here I'm going into commentary. In late October, before Halloween of last year, I told the viewership of this channel that the major economic story of 2022 will be a potential invasion of Ukraine by Russia. At the time, there was 100,000 Russian troops at the Ukrainian border. There's 100,000 troops now in Ukraine. At the time, I understood that an invasion of Ukraine could cause major economic shifts of our economy. The White House understood that as well, and they dispatched Treasury to analyze the situation for oil. They understood that oil would be a major economic issue if the invasion happened. But did the White House have any strategic alliances or contingencies ready on what to do? No. What is the situation today, 10 days, 12 days, 13 days after the invasion started? No different. Is there any change in domestic policy on oil production domestically, import policy, partner alliances, or anything about that? When you go to the bottom line of whether there's a deal stricken, whether there's a deal signed, the answer is no. Whether there is a ideological pivot, there is a yes. So let me tell you the ideological pivot. Initially, when the invasion happened, we were still buying Russian oil in the United States, 3%. At the time of this recording, the U.S. government had said that it was going to pass quickly legislation to ban the import of Russian oil. Folks, it's been almost 5 days since the legislators said they were going to ban it. They have not banned it yet. I don't know why. Morally, it takes them that long to ban the import of Russian oil. From a corporate standpoint, companies like Shell have said, no, we are not buying Russian oil. So we don't care what Congress do. We're just not buying it out of the equation. And that is domestically. So domestically, we have not yet physically gotten off that 3% dependency upon Russian oil, 3%, only 3%. But it's not particularly clear why. Now, here's the other part of the equation. Here are the other parts of the equation. You know what I'm about to say, but I have breaking news on this today. Is the U.S. production of gasoline. The U.S. pumping of gasoline. Has that changed since day one of the Russian invasion of Ukraine? No. No change of U.S. output of our pumping by Americans for Americans has changed. Why? If you ask the people who pump the gasoline, the blame is on the White House, because the White House has to give guidance to say, go pump more directly to them, or they don't do it. And they have asked since day one of the invasion, can we pump more? And they say they have gotten no response. Now, that is the bottom line with them. The imagery or the optics from the White House changed dramatically on Thursday, March 10th, when Jennifer Granholm, the energy secretary, pivoted and said the White House wants to increase production of gasoline domestically. Wants to, but didn't say the White House is doing it. Let's make very clear the situation. The White House, for 11 days of invasion, had not increased production domestically. And then after 11 days said, we want to, but still had not. At the time of this recording, the West Texas oil producer says, that's fine that she says that. We have not heard from them, and we've reached out to them, and they're not responding. This is not a little bit like you can't get the person on the phone. It's going to voicemail. There's a little bit more than I can't get you on the phone. This has become sort of a war of words in the press that has gone on for 2 weeks. And the good news reporters in the good coverage has gone to the subject every single time saying, that's what the energy secretary says, but that's not what West Texas says. That's what Treasury says. That's not what West Texas says. They say you keep on running this line like you sort of like it, but then you really don't do it. A lot of talk and zero walk, says West Texas. Something new I want to deliver to you, you never heard before until today on this channel. and this is a realm in which I never thought I would go to. The gasoline in West Texas is not an apples for apples substitute for a replacement of that 3% Russian dependency. Why? Fascinating report. I just adore this report, and I really want to praise the guy who wrote it. This wonderful report out today from a oil analyst says that the gasoline produced in West Texas is not gasoline that is ready to go necessarily into your gas station. That type of gasoline comes from the Gulf states of the United States. And that is lower in crude quality. Let's go over what this analyst says. And I'm not saying that I know that this is the fact. I'm just telling you what his analysis situation is. Josh Rhodes, who's an energy analyst, says that we do produce a lot of oil domestically, but just because we get it out of the ground doesn't mean we can actually refine it. He says that the gasoline from the Gulf Coast of Texas is the lower quality crude that is more comparable to Russian oil that goes right into gasoline and diesel pumps at the station. But the gasoline that goes from West Texas is higher quality, better quality crude, and is harder to reduce to lower quality for U.S. consumption. So it's not that easy. Has the White House even heard about this? I don't know. I don't know if the White House is even, they haven't even picked up the phone and called West Texas so that they know what West Texas is. I don't know if the White House has even done this part of the analysis. So this is part one of the problem, and this is why 6 stimulus is being done. When your governors looked at the situation on March 8th, as soon as I first detailed to you 6 stimulus, what did they say? Republicans, Democrats all said, we are going to do our state version of this. What is the state version? Every state's doing something potentially different. California's considering waiving the gas tax so that your gasoline would drop from $5 to $1 a gallon. So basically, the state would save you money instantly. Other states are doing other things across the board. Some states are turning into sort of a political fodder. Texas Governor Greg Abbott says, instead of begging other countries for oil, Biden can increase production domestically in Texas. That's true, but according to Rhodes, it's a little bit more complicated than that. Now, that's part one of the oil equation. Part two of the oil equation, I have brand new details, brand new. I did not even have this 2 hours ago on Mornings LA. I'll have it tonight on Evenings LA. There is a new interview with United Arab Emirates' ambassador to the United States. It's ironic. God, I just feel like they're watching me every 10 seconds. Why? You know this graphic. I've had this graphic with this plane flying over the sign since day one of the invasion. And you've seen this graphic every single video. And you know what the sign is going to say. Let's watch. There it is. United Arab Emirates. I pulled this graphic day one of the invasion because I said, hey, this is the country that can ramp up production and release those barrels and help us across the board. It's been a big ally of the country, of the United States. I've ran this graphic every single day. So the great news is that a new interview with the ambassador for United Arab Emirates says that they are open to increasing production. Wonderful. It is the first time that any of these countries that have the ability to provide gasoline to our partner countries have finally said, yes, I will do it. The problem is that the United Arab Emirates does not have carte blanche to do it. There's this other thing called OPEC Plus, and OPEC Plus has tried and avoided the subject matter extensively. OPEC Plus has been approached the subject matter, whether to increase production. What did they do? Last week, they banned any news reporters from being to ask questions during their meeting. Number two. Earlier this week, you saw the price of gasoline drop dramatically after a report said that OPEC Plus was open to Iraq releasing more oil. That was a rumor because Iraq did not agree to release more oil. It was just a rumor, and it traded down gasoline. And analysts said, "Hey, good luck if you bought on that trade because it was just a rumor. It was actually untrue." Here's the issue: gasoline is not sustainable at current levels. Gasoline today is at $4.33 a gallon at the pump, nationwide average, according to AAA. The gasoline prices every day are featured on this channel in the membership newsletter. $4.33 is not sustainable. $4 is not sustainable. If it continues at current levels into the month of May 2022, we go into recession 2023 and 2024. I've been telling viewership of this channel this for a while. I say we only have about 6 weeks for Joe Biden to move on. In those 6 weeks, he needs to get Germany, France, Italy, a oil supplier that is different from Russia. Their oil is 40% dependent upon Russia. And guess what? Vladimir Putin may jump the gun and do something before Joe Biden helps. Let me tell you how scary the situation is. Germany gets about 40% of its gasoline from Russia. Okay. So we're saying get someone else to get oil to Germany. Good. When should this have been done? It should have been done in October of last year. That allegiance should have been ready. It should have been done day one of the invasion. So what is the situation today? It's very scary. I'll tell you why. Vladimir Putin has said, you know what? Stop threatening me. You know what I'm going to do? I'll just cut off the gasoline myself. I'll just turn off Nord 1 so Germany gets no gasoline one morning. You don't keep on threatening me. I'll just turn off the gasoline and I'll starve your gasoline supply to the entire country of Germany. Folks, you don't want that to happen. You do not want that to happen. Domestically, as a U.S. citizen, you do not want to wake up one morning and hear that Vladimir Putin has turned off gasoline to Germany. You know exactly what's going to happen. 40% of the country is dependent upon Russian oil. That means your gasoline at the pump will go from $4 a gallon nationwide. It'll go $6 in 10 seconds. It'll literally go $6 in 10 seconds. Because remember, the less gasoline, the more expensive it is. But anything that causes sort of pandemonium, frantic, a variable no one saw coming, causes things to go up faster than anything else. And Vladimir Putin turning off the oil before Germany gets off of the oil themselves at their own pace is a frantic event, and that will shoot the prices right up. And guess what? They ain't coming back down. So this is why the White House has really missed the ball. As I told you earlier in this recording, the president understood. Janet Yellen, former head of the Fed, understood. You and I understood, because I told you last year. There was 100,000 Russian troops at the Ukrainian border. Biggest number of troops since Cold War. Something was likely to happen in 2022 to be a big economic event. And I said, if an invasion happens, it can be a big economic event. The president understood oil was going to be a major economic event if the Russian troops entered in 2022. They enter. It's been 11 days. When has the White House done in 11 days to ramp up production in West Texas? Zero. Let's go over what the White House has done and what the White House has not done. White House understood there was a problem last year. Had Janet Yellen do a report. Good. Since then, what has the White House done? Has the White House ramped up production in West Texas? No. Has the White House ramped up production in the Gulf states? No. Has the White House determined whether ramping up production in West Texas would provide crude oil that is compatible with U.S. market consumption, or whether it's too high quality a grade and then we have to use the gasoline from somewhere like the Gulf part of Texas? No. Has the White House gotten its partner allies like Germany, France, and Italy oil dedicated from another source in the event, far in advance before any potential threat of Vladimir Putin turning off Nord Stream or any of the pipelines to Germany? No. Has the White House gotten Venezuela, the major producer of oil, to provide oil to our partner countries? No. Has the White House gotten United Arab Emirates, which I've been featuring on this channel every single day since day one of the invasion, to provide more production? No. United Arab Emirates has an enormous amount of stored gasoline. The way gasoline works is it's very simple. It's like a storage room. You have a storage room. It's full. Don't make any more because you don't have any more storage for it. So it's like lobster shorts. Mitchell's storage room for the lobster shorts is full. So he can't make any more. So until Venezuela or United Arab Emirates releases what's stored, it can't make any more. Has the White House leaned on OPEC to increase production? No. Has the U.S. leaned on those partner allies like UAE to increase production? No. It's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing because there's a clock running. The clock running is May. Numbers are unsustainable. $4 a gallon at the pump is unsustainable. You can do the American Rescue Plan, the third stimulus package in January 2021, and help millions of Americans. You could do the Build Back Better Act today and get to fourth stimulus recon. You can send out the $80,000 stimulus checks. But if you send our country into recession because you did not pivot off of Russia, you did not pivot correctly to prepare for a potential invasion, then guess what? We go into recession next year for 2 years. All the work that we try to keep this economy stabilized during COVID, post-COVID, would be lost. because we didn't prepare. Now, let's be very frank. The preparation of the situation has happened last October. I told you this was going to be happening. I told you the troops were there. I told you if they invade, it's going to be a major economic event. I featured on all the videos of this channel. I featured all the crypto shows. I said, don't be buying crypto if you think that invasion is going to happen, because guess what? Crypto's going to go down. Stocks are going to go down. Bonds are going to go down. They're all going down. And so the White House hasn't prepared accordingly. Now let's go to the next problem. This is where I get worried. This is now a little bit larger on my worry scale. Oil is easy. Why is oil particularly easy? This is oil. It's in the ground. You put it in a ship. You deliver it. How long does it take to get there? 2 weeks. A week, 2 weeks. It's not that difficult. Buy it, put it in a truck or a cargo ship, and you deliver it. Not so easy when we talk about wheat or grains or soybeans. What's going on this front? The Black Sea area of Ukraine. Currently, Vladimir Putin's advances are heading from Crimea along the bottom part of Ukraine, the southeast, coming up on the Black Sea, heading up towards the southwest part of Ukraine. He's trying to get to Odessa. At the time of this recording, he has not gotten to Odessa. Good. But he has taken, of course, Gershon. That was the very first days of this invasion. Here's the beautiful pictures of Gershon before the invasion occurred. He is trying to take Odessa. Now, let me tell you why Odessa has economically been damaged before he even takes Odessa. Why? The Black Sea is a very rich area for wonderful agricultural crops. And they are wheat, grain, soybeans. Guess what happens? If Russian troops enter your town or your region of the Black Sea, you don't have time to tender the crops. The farmers are not in the fields picking up the wheat because they're defending their country, and because they're not tending the wheat's not being exported, and because the wheat's not being exported or tendered, guess what? The ground is not being prepared for next season either. And guess what's also happening? There's cluster bombings. There's military debris. The crops are being ruined by Vladimir Putin. So the economic destruction of an agrarian commodity like wheat, soybeans, and corn is not something that can be fixed in 2 weeks. If Vladimir Putin's troops stay in that Black Sea region for the entire season of wheat, corn, and soybeans, it's going to be lost for 2 or 3 seasons. Here's how this impacts you domestically in the United States. Viewers have already seen this. They've been in the live chats and said, my goodness, that's why the bread's going up in the supermarket. You understand we have enough farmers in the United States to grow wheat, but their price of wheat will go up, and ultimately the bread that you buy made upon wheat will go up because part of the wheat of the world economy is offline. The agrarian, wonderful wheat and soybeans and corn of the Ukrainian or the Black Sea region. The White House not doing anything with this either. When you deal with an economic crisis caused by Vladimir Putin, we're not just talking about oil, folks. We're also talking about commodities. Commodities are things like wheat, grain, soybeans, nickel, which I detailed on the Evenings LA broadcast 2 nights ago. Nickel has seen a major implosion because of Vladimir Putin. And then the one issue which I broadcast last night about, and I'll have more tonight, this is the one that really scares the socks off of me. Banking. And I do not mean you have a branch in Moscow and you have to close it. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a U.S. bank that has a major investment like, $500 million in Russian bonds. And then by, let's say, March 20th, the Russian bond is valueless, has no credit value, and suddenly that U.S. bank has to announce its corporate earnings on, let's say, April 30th, and says, oh, by the way, we have a half a billion dollar write-off loss because we had a big position in Russian bonds that became devalued. Boy, folks, this is where I start to get very skittish, very, very scared. You could not have our U.S. banking industry become hit. I don't want to say destabilized, hit with major losses because they had big positions in now potentially devalued Russian bonds or equities. And this would look like something along the lines, potentially, of what happened before Barack Obama came in office. Remember, the first few days of Barack Obama's coming in office, he had to pass the biggest stimulus package the United States has ever seen before COVID, and that was to save the savings and loan industry, to save the banking industry. They did save it. This is why when we talk about six stimulus, we're talking about more than just oil. We're talking about commodities and banking. But when we get to banking, then you get really scared because it's not just a Russian bank. It's a U.S. bank that had investments in the Russian positions. And I don't mean just closing the door. I mean closing the account, and the account has no value. Ouch. So six stimulus happening at the same time. Now let's turn to the humanitarian issue and also the battleground issue on the forefront in Ukraine. And if we have a little bit of time, I'll jump in the live chat to see your comments on the situation. First, people are asking about the shirts. Amazon. They're also on Walmart. Lots of different types. You can always choose different colors, modify it. And they're very comfortable, by the way. I just want to say they're very, very comfortable. Not my shirt. I have nothing to do with it. I just like the graphics. There are also some hats out there. Not as good as I would like them to be. And you'll see me coming on air in the next few days with some more items that take a long time to ship. Some of these items take a very long time to ship from where they're made in the United States. Let's turn to what's happening with Zelensky. President Zelensky has really tried to get this no-fly zone. What does a no-fly zone mean? No-fly zone means that he wants Russian planes not over Ukraine airspace. The problem is he wants Western allies like the United States to enforce the no-fly zone. That would mean our U.S. troops in Ukrainian airspace, defending Ukrainian airspace, and fighting against Russian planes in the air over Ukraine. Not happening. Not happening. And Zelensky continues to try to evoke this narrative, and it's not working. Millions of Americans, all the polls in the United States says Americans do not want to be drawn into this war and will not be fighting this war in Ukrainian soil for the country of Ukraine. Now, 75% of Americans do support banning all Russian imports at the moment. And then the situation then next is, how do we view the situation going forward? There is deep concern that Vladimir Putin has an appetite to eat more, and the more he eats, the more he eats. What is that appetite? That appetite potentially is the Baltic states. And that is why Anthony Blinken, your Secretary of State, went to the Baltic states. I don't think I have the graphic here on this recording, but those Baltic states are right bordering Russia as well. And Blinken's concern is that Putin may next target the Baltic states. Now, why is the Baltic states different in the equation? The Baltic states are NATO alliance countries. So any act of aggression against those Baltic states would draw in NATO allies, which include the United States across the board. The situation for the battleground updates right now at the moment is the following. Russian troops are right outside of the capital. They're right outside of the capital at the time of this recording, which is March 11th, 2022 at about 12 noon Pacific Standard Time. Russian troops had been 40 miles outside of the Ukrainian capital. Then they were about 20 miles out. Then they were about 8 miles out. Analysts now believe they're just really outside of the capital of Ukraine. The capital of Ukraine will likely be surrounded by Russian troops, potentially by the end of the weekend. The question after that is, what's next? Will Vladimir Putin just circle the Ukraine capital and call it a day? Or will he go in there and try to remove Zelensky in order of power? Many world leaders have asked Zelensky to leave the country safely now and govern the country in exile rather than stand guard and potentially die in battle. They don't want that. There is a contingency in place if, in fact, he does die in battle. His government would still stay in place. At the moment, the humanitarian situation is growing dramatically. The number of refugees is, I think, 2.5 million. It's growing about 500,000 a day. It'll be the largest refugee exodus since World War II, says the UN. It'll likely go to 10 million. And the situation is getting better in neighboring countries that have actually gotten better at doing it in the last few days. Big praises going to Romania and Hungary and Poland, which apparently have were doing well initially, but have gotten the logistics of it down better than initially thought. Inside Ukraine, the situation is very bad. Inside Ukraine, for those that could not evacuate or have not evacuated, they're being starved out in their own homes. They have now been in their homes, if they are still there, uh, 11, 12 plus days of an invasion, and some of them are running out of food or without food, electric, water, gas, and supplies. And the safe harbor was really the only, or safe corridor was the really only good news that came for the situation in the last 72 hours. There was a few hours in which, after multiple attempts for over a week, Russia finally did abide by an agreement to allow evacuation in these safe corridors. Now, we don't know how many people are still trapped in these towns. And so the situation is very unfolding by the moment and across the board. Elsewhere, the next 7 days is likely where the situation may get very dramatically different. In the next 7 days, you would potentially see Vladimir Putin encircle the capital of Ukraine. In the next 7 days, you potentially would see Putin get close to Odessa. He's still not at Odessa, which is actually quite surprising. In the next 7 days, you may see Russia deploy more troops. Now let's go over. A U.S. general appeared on broadcast media minutes ago saying, you know what, the amount of Russian troops that are in Ukraine is the same that basically I detailed to you back in October. It's that same 100,000 plus troops that were at the border. They sat on the border since October. Then they came in progressively, and they came in more. Vladimir Putin has not dispatched more Russian troops since that initial group from last October. If he did, it would signal that the invasion is not going as well as Putin had wished, but also it is a compelling situation across the board. When you look at towns like Gershon, the falling, the circling, the taking of the town is different than holding the town, because even though Vladimir Putin may ultimately circle the capital, he may not actually be able to control any of the operations in the capital. He may be able to circle the port, but he may not be able to do anything in the actual town. Some of these things are strategic moves. Some of these things are economic moves. In the case of Odessa, he's trying to cut off the number one port town of Odessa. Like how he's trying to control the power grid in the country by controlling the nuclear reactor, which provides 80% of the power in the country. He's trying to control electric and export and import. So he's really trying to economically control the country as much as cause complete destruction of it in some regards, city by city. Elsewhere, domestically, internationally, I would hope that the countries of the Western alliances really step up. They need to do more, not only for humanitarian aid, they need to do more to really prepare for all the contingencies. And I don't think they're preparing for these contingencies. A lot of these contingencies were known risks as of last year, as featured in this video. Some of these risks are now very new risks that we understand now after 11 days plus of invasion. And I don't think they are doing a good service to their citizens and to their countries by not pivoting, getting agreements that are economic agreements among Western allied countries now, how to be ready as a team to fend off any economic act of aggression against them by Vladimir Putin just from where we are right now. This is before Vladimir Putin goes to another country. Just of where we are right now, I don't think these partner countries have done enough in their economic allegiances to fend off the elements that could negatively impact their economy because of Vladimir Putin's acts of aggression already. And every day goes by and I wonder, there's no change with them. And if there continues to be no change with them, the month of May could be very bad economically, internationally. Meantime, for you, $80,000 of money went live. So we're going to feature that tonight on Evenings LA. But coming up next, if you're watching the show live on air at noontime at 11 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, March 11th, coming up next is the 1 o'clock editions of Afternoons LA. Then a brand new Afternoons LA at 3 o'clock. If you're watching this in prime time, then don't miss, coming up next after this show, is Evenings Extra at 8 o'clock. Got a lot of shows throughout the day. Meantime, if you have questions or comments, send it to me on private message. I'll feature it on air. Don't forget to become a member to get the incredible newsletter and get those $80,000 of checks. Stay informed, stay focused, stay here, and stay with LA for more.